Now then, as Jimmy Savile would say.
Let's not bring him into this. Jesus Christ.
No, there's been a new documentary about him. Have you seen it all over BBC?
No.
It's honestly been one of the biggest talking points of my workplace for probably the past week. No, honestly, you're sat there thinking, blimey, hell, what does he mean? He's been talking about Jimmy Savile at work.
It's a bit weird, mate.
No,
there's better things to talk about.
No, so new documentaries come out, and it's got him who is quite a famous actor, actually. I might just have to double check it in a second. Really, really famous actor.
Describe him. I'll try and help you out.
What was he in? He was in The Other Guys film.
Never seen it. Try again.
I'm actually just going to search his name. Because
probably best. I don't really know any actors.
Yeah, because otherwise it would be really bad because we'd be sat here for such a long time. Someone's probably sat there just shouting it at the screen going, I know who he is. Steve Cogan. Or Cohen? Is that how you say his name?
I don't know who that is.
Let me name some of the movies that he's in and you might know. I don't know.
This is coming from Wes, who 2 weeks ago thought that Neil Patrick Harris was called Patrick Stewart, so...
That is also very true, but I've actually checked this guy's name for a change. It's not working for me right now. But that is the guy anyway. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really good to watch. And you know what? If you're interested in anything to do with that, and like how we did all this thing and how he was so rich and famous and how he become to like this power which was untouchable, it's so interesting to watch. Like, honestly, it's crazy. Some of the stuff that you don't know, and you find out is absolutely crazy. Have you watched anything like that recently?
No. Like what?
I don't know. Some of us like gone, oh, this is interesting. Tell our viewers to watch it.
Grey's Anatomy, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in the last one.
Say.
That's all I've been watching.
Yeah, go and watch Grey's Anatomy. It's so good. It gives you an absolute roller coaster of emotions.
It's so emotional.
Yeah, I bet it is.
So emotional.
I bet it does.
And honestly, I feel like... I've been watching that, right? I'm not a doctor. I know nothing about that sort of stuff. But I honestly feel a bit qualified now, because I'm like, I just know a lot about surgery and medicine in general from watching Grey's Anatomy.
Great. Like, so when they're telling me on my deathbed, this is exactly what's going to happen. And I'm sat there and I'm like, I'm dying, doctor. I don't know what to do. He's like, we've got the best surgeon ever. I know about one. I want Dr.
Enter Ellie. Yeah, because all you do in that situation, or all they do on Grey's Anatomy, is they shout code blue before the patient's actually dead, right? And then they're like, we need a crash cart, stat. I could do that job.
A what?
I don't know what it means, but I could do that job. A crash cart.
What the fuck's that?
That's a little cart that's got all the equipment on for when they peg it, and then they get the little paddles out.
Peg it?
Die, Wes.
Oh, right. I was like, what the flipping hell you on about?
It's obviously, when they bring the paddles. And
Ellie's
like,
only fancies in the bottom.
Charging to 200, and then they do that stuff. But I will say, one thing they don't do, which is really bad practice, right?
Okay.
In a medical show. So...
Because it's real life.
yeah, it is, right? So when they're like, oh, code blue, we need a crash cart, and then they bring it in and they just use the paddles. CPR. Yeah, but you don't wait for someone to arrive with the car, then charge it. You're wasting precious moments, bro. Get in there,
What happens
if... Pisses me off.
Why don't they just, electrocute them straight back to life?
Because...
Is that what happens in the TV show?
Well, yeah, and they also
so
do...
they need the CPR, then train
professionals. No, but in real life you do. Guys, if you're not first aid trained, get it, save a life. But they also do that, is it called the cardiac thump or something? So my mum was a nurse, and every time I watch an episode of Grey's Anatomy, I'm like, Mom said this happened. what would actually happen? And this like cardiac thump thing, right? So they basically, like, a doctor just smacked this patient, like basically punched him in the chest. And the guy just wakes up and he's like, oh, I'm fine, everything's good, right? I was like, is this real? My mum was like, so years ago, that was like standard practice. Someone dies, you just whack them. Now, obviously, they do like CPR and all that sort of stuff.
Whack them. Just whack them.
Just fucking smack them, mate. But apparently that was a thing. And it's still used in like extreme circumstances, as far as I believe. But it just looks crazy. But it's meant to like shock the heart. So obviously you thump it really hard and the heart goes, oh, fuck, I need to work again.
So it's a bit like using the static electricity or whatever, and then boom, the heart comes back to life, and it's ba-boom, 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 ba-boom.
Yeah. And this is what I mean about me basically being a qualified surgeon now, because after watching Grey's Anatomy, I know these things.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You won't get that information from the TV show I've asked you to watch, but yeah. I hope you don't turn around one day just with a cigar in your mouth going, now then, I'm Jimmy Savile. Because if you did, we'd have major concerns.
Why did you sound like Keith Lemon right there?
I don't know. Can't talk about Keith Lemon and Bo Selector. Been on this train
But that's
before.
what you sounded like.
Been down this road before. Can't go down it. Can't go left.
After I realised
we can't go
people
right.
were kind of pissed
Gonna
about
have
it.
to go through it.
Wait, what was that? Wasn't that like a kid's book or something?
Yeah, it was, definitely.
What was it?
I don't know, something about a rainforest.
It's like, we can't go under it. We can't go
Oh,
over
is it the...
We'll have to go through it.
There is like, I swear it's a tunnel thing. I swear it's digging tunnels or something like that, innit?
I don't know, I'm going to Google this later.
And there'll just be a picture of whatever it is like. Photo
Yes, I will
noise.
include it in the video, guys. You will see it right about
Picture noise.
Yeah.
You do know now you've got to put in a picture noise because I said it.
I've also got to find what it is. If I can't find it, I'm screwed. I think it's just unlocked a memory that I forgot about.
Is it the like troll under the bridge or something?
No, I don't think so.
No. I'll try it.
It might be. It doesn't ring a bell.
The troll or something.
I do remember that Please Mrs. Butler. Do you remember that one?
No.
This boy, Derek Drew. You don't remember that?
No.
Oh my God, you haven't lived.
I did live. I was in assembly when I was at school, and they had a little projector, and he told me how to behave at school. Well, we
just had songs on ours.
How we should behave at school. Did you not do that one?
What fucking school
We
did
will
you
be
go to?
okay if we obey the rules. Boom, 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 boom.
No.
Would you not do that one?
We did
Don't
have the
stand up and don't shout out. Something.
We did have the
Tell us
cauliflowers
about
fluffy,
we're
cabbages
learning.
green.
Yeah, that one.
That was a banger.
There's loads of them. There were all the hymns.
I feel like I need a remix for that.
There were all the hymns that you had at school.
Good times.
Good times. When you used to sit there and your teacher was like, right, we're going to sing a song at the end of assembly. What song are we going to sing this time, teacher? He's got the whole world in his hands. And then the teacher would sit there on the piano at the front. He's got
Or like, give me oil in my
world.
lamp one.
Give me oil in my lamp, keep me burning.
Banger. I just remember how you felt like absolute royalty when you got to year 6 and you got to sit on the benches.
Yes,
like, overlooking all the year 3s, like, yeah, you little peasants.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. So all like the smallest ones were at the front, and then it went back in the year groups, didn't it? And then and the year 6
we had those shitty little wooden benches.
Yeah,
it was like sitting on a throne. It was great.
You didn't want to sit on the end bit though, because that's where the little white things stuck up.
Yeah, the little like round bits.
Yeah.
Oh, they hurt.
If you got the end of a bench, you're like, nah, I don't want to sit there.
To be fair, I usually got the end because we used to go in alphabetical order, and obviously my last name begins with a T. So I think there was one year where I was the last one, and then someone came in with the last name that began with a W, and I was like, ha, bitch.
Unlucky motherfucker.
Take my place.
Oh, I miss being in primary school now and singing hymns after assembly.
They were the good days. And golden time on a Friday where you had like an hour to do whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
And we all just ran to the PC and played. What was it? Was it RuneScape? No.
Or Balloons Tower Defense. We used to play that.
Fire Boy and Water Girl, Water Boy and Fire Girl. The jungle thing.
Yeah.
Forest, Temple, Forest, Jungle, Run. I don't know. But that one was so cool.
I remember playing all of them and cool maths games.
Okay, we didn't do maths in Golden Time.
No, that was what it was called. Cool Maths Games. That was the website. Cool Maths Games. No. And you used to do that jump thing where it was like the impossible game or something. You had to jump over the flipping things. And it would start with some dubstep track. It'd be like...
I don't remember that one.
Yeah,
I do remember Penalty Shootout on Miniclip, though.
Penalty Shootout on Miniclip. Wow. Or Tetris. Or flipping Pac-Man. On Google, because you used to do the Google Pac-Man where you used to go around.
Oh, times have changed. Being an adult is really boring.
It is in comparison to being in primary school. When you was in like primary school, I'm telling you didn't realise how good life was. You used to do standard multiplication and how to write your name in cursive, and that was it.
But
science was what can sand and water put together, and how big can your sandcastle be? You know what I mean? What the fuck?
Well, the only downside that I can think of when we were in primary school, right? And this is going to kind of lead us on to our next bit. Couldn't buy alcohol. I like the fact that I can buy beer now.
Well, so when you was 8, you want to see?
Well, no, I wasn't thinking about it then. But looking back, that's the reason I won't go back, because I'm like, what if I want a Budweiser? But I'm 6 and I can't buy a Budweiser, right?
Driving. That is amazing.
I can't drive, so...
That is one thing I love, driving.
I wouldn't know.
Driving.
But we can buy alcohol. We can also buy vapes.
I can see where you're going with this. So, on today's episode, after we have sat chatting utter nonsense about primary school and hymns, on today's episode, we are going to go through what the government have been saying at the moment and talking about taxes, banning of all cigarettes, e-cigarettes, blah, 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 blah. And we do have a very special guest which we would like to put into this as well. He's a very dear friend of mine, and he's also a friend of Ellie's. His name's Bill, and he currently works in an e-cigarette shop, and he's going to give us some views on what he thinks and what his business is telling him at the moment, and where he can really give us a bit more of a professional idea. Would we call it that?
I mean, that's what I call it, because we are not professionals in this.
No.
We know absolutely fuck all.
We're the dumb ones who want to act smart. That's who we are.
Pretty much, yeah.
We're the ones who try, never succeed. But we try. That's all that matters. We try but don't succeed. But that's all that matters. I feel really
bad about my life right now. Thank you.
Wow. But no, we'll bring Bill on now and then we'll take it from there. Bill, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Bill. I've worked in the vape industry for about 7 years now. It's quite experienced. Been vaping for about 10 personally. So, good bit of knowledge, I'd like to say.
Good bit of knowledge.
Fun fact for you all, I actually bought this one from Bill. So, thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Look where I get my supplies from. Hey!
This guy.
This guy is basically my dealer. So.
Whoa, relax. Vapes.
But no, obviously the main topic of discussion today, as stated beforehand, is obviously the whole point of the tax going up on vapes and vapes alone. So that's something which has obviously been in public media a lot recently. You can tell that what they're trying to do is they're saying that they're going to completely get rid of cigarettes and make it illegal for people. So starting from, I believe it's 2026, I believe it was.
Yep.
From 2026, they're going to be moving forward and saying anybody who's under 18 and then 19 the next year and then 20 the year after that, so on and so forth, they're going to make a generation of people who are unable to buy nicotine products. But then at the same time, they're not looking to get rid of the vape industry. What they're doing, obviously, on the vape side is just putting higher taxes up. So that's something that obviously they've then introduced, or going to introduce, so they say. How do you think that'll impact people moving forward, Bill?
I mean, personally, I don't think it's going to have a massive impact. Just on the basis that people will vape or people will smoke regardless. I mean, vaping is already taxed. It's sort of what I call backdoor taxed through something called TPD, which is the regulations. So hence why you can only get 2 milliliter tanks. Nicotine can't be in bottles larger than 10 mil, and so on and so forth. I don't believe it's going to affect it in a massive way. I don't think the vaping industry is going to be shut down as such. I just feel like, personally, it's just going to help prevent younger children getting their hands on these products, which will, eventually lead for a smoke-free generation.
Can I ask a quick question based on what I read from the article that Wes sent over to me?
Mm-hmm.
So from what I understand, I just want to make sure I've got this right. They're putting tax on vaping products, but the aim is to still keep it cheaper than smoking.
Yes, yeah. So the overall process will be similar to New Zealand and Australia. Nicotine in vapes over there is completely banned. So you have to go to a doctor's, you have to get a prescription for nicotine, and you have to obtain it from a pharmacy. Now, they also have a rule in place in which you have to... Well, the age for smoking goes up every year. And that's where the government have got the idea from. So slowly but surely, the age of smoking is going up and up and up in Australia. So people over there, a few of my patrons, some of them have visiting family from Australia, and they've said that cigarettes out there can cost as much as 30 to 50 Australian dollars per pack. And that's what the government's intending to do over here to, prevent smoking just in the younger generations. So
what's going to be the prevention? I know you personally probably don't know this, but in your opinion, when I think back to when I was like 13, 14 years old, right? You could go into any little corner shop or smaller, like, family-owned shop, I guess, and you could buy singles for like 50p.
Yes.
Now, I didn't smoke, but I had friends who did. Obviously, they shouldn't have been selling them to someone that age anyway, and I know that's not going to be stopped by any sort of laws. It's already against the law. It was back then.
Yeah.
How are the government going to prevent the age of smoking when that's already like a massive thing? People can get them underage already.
Well, what the government's plan is in general, I mean, I can't speak for the entire government, but to my knowledge, the plan is to eventually make vape shops like tobacconists. Like in many European countries, Spain and, Italy, they have designated shops to purchase tobacco products. So the eventual plan will be pull all vapes and all smoking products from supermarkets, corner shops, things like that. So it will only be registered tobacconists and vape retailers that will be able to get a hold of these products and sell them. And obviously any legitimate retailer will operate the Challenge 25 policy, which obviously eventually will become Challenge 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, etc. For the long run. So it's basically, once they take these products out of places that don't really care for the legislation of Challenge 25, children will less likely be able to get their hands on them because they won't be able to walk into, as you said, any family-owned shop or, corner shop, off license, and purchase these products, because they'd have to walk into a tobacconist's that would be registered via the government, and the checks would be much more intense. So a lot more people from trading standards being sent in, the fines would become heavier. It's something that will eventually prevent that, but that's for many years down the line. So for the short haul, I can't guarantee that it will stop, but for the long run, eventually everywhere will be a registered tobacconist that sells these products.
Okay. So a bit like on that then, because if everywhere was to become a bit like a tobacconist or whatever, as we know today, right? Drugs in the UK are completely illegal or whatever for underage or anybody, right? But we know for a fact you could go down the street and you could pick up any type of drug that you want from about 17 different people. Now, I think we touched on this very slightly when we was talking about the fact of the bulldogs in the UK. And if you start banning one thing, the banning will just continue constantly until everything's banned, and then everything will be on the black market anyway. So this is where I'm in a bit of two minds with it, because I don't understand. I can understand their point of wanting to tax. I can understand their point of wanting to try and stop a generation from smoking cigarettes. But if you told no multiple times, as we see now in the community, people just do it anyway, and they'll get their hands on it anyway. So do you think that the government bringing this into force is actually going to change anything? Because people will still manage to get their hands on it regardless.
So, me personally, I believe it will show slight improvements. Obviously, as you said, people can get things from anywhere. Now, you're still going to get parents going into shops and purchasing things for children, and that will always happen, you know. You'll still probably get kids stood outside corner shops or any
we're not even
vape store, you know, going, oh, I want this. But at the end of the day, I do believe, I mean, it will eventually get to a point where nobody's going to want to do it, because they are probably, I mean, I say probably because I'm not 100% sure, they're probably going to increase the penalties for committing such acts. That's what I see in my opinion. I believe that eventually it'll go, you know, buying for a minor or, you know, a second-hand sale as such is already an offence. So if you get caught doing it, you will get fined. And I feel like the fines will get heavier and heavier until it comes to a point where it's not worth it. It might be, you know, at the minute it is only a £500 fine to my knowledge. But if it then becomes a £12,000 fine, people, regardless of their financial situation, will not want to commit that act, because obviously there's a lot more CCTV. And no, the £12,000 fine. So say, for instance, in my place of work, if somebody from Trading Standards came in and said, right, I want to buy a vape, and if I were to not challenge 25 of them, which in my place I'm very strict on, very strict, even if I've served a particular person before, I will still ID again to make sure that they are not underage. And if somebody comes in, you know, they don't present their ID, it's an instant no sale, regardless of if I've served them before. It's a no sale. That's it. And you know, we may adopt an American style system where we have to scan IDs in to prove age, you know, same as they do with alcohol, where you scan their ID and it proves what they've purchased and the particular age in general. But if I served somebody under the age of 18, it's a £12,500 personal fine. That's for me to pay, not for the company. That's for myself. And it's a big enough incentive for me to not go, oh yeah, you're 17 today, 18 tomorrow. Here you go. I won't do it. Hands down, I refuse to serve anyone that doesn't show me their ID.
I mean, on the back of what Wes said, just real quick, I suppose the idea with it is, obviously now, when in the past it's been so easy for kids to get their hands on this stuff.
Yeah.
If they make it harder, yes, it's still going to happen. It's still going to be a problem. But if it's not as easy, you know, you're out down the park having a drink with your mates on a Friday night at the age of 14, as we all did, playing DJ Booney on our phones, you know. How easy was it to go to a corner shop and know that you could get alcohol, you could get cigarettes, you could get that stuff? If that's harder to get over time, it's not going to be instant. But say in 10, 15 years' time, are kids going to bother? If it's not easy and you can't just go to your local shop, are they going to bother with it? And I think that's the thing. It's going to be a gradual phase out and a gradual change. I would imagine.
My only point to this, and the bit like how Bill was saying, oh, well, I won't serve anybody underage, but there's going to be a certain cap of where you look at someone who is 30 years old and it's illegal to sell them cigarettes. That is going to happen.
I know it will
They'll
happen.
cap the age, surely.
Yeah, well, it
He's
won't.
a grown-ass man.
In Australia, for instance, it will keep going
Madness.
up. So no one will ever be old enough to purchase cigarettes. And that's the plan in the UK. So eventually, if I'm still working
it will
in
just
this...
be phased out completely.
Yeah, so if I'm still working in the same industry in the next 10, 15 years, it might then be, rather than being challenge 25, which a lot of people think is quite high anyway. You know, a lot of people think challenge 25 is a very high age to, you know, ID someone because they don't look that age. But the plan is to eventually make it challenge 25, then it might jump up to challenge 30. And although they might be a grown person, right, if they are born after 2009, the government's incentive is saying nobody will ever legally be able to purchase cigarettes. So my little brother, who is 14 now, will never legally be able to purchase cigarettes in his entire life. When this comes in, it's done. He will never be able to buy a packet of cigarettes. He can't go in for himself or family members or anything like that. He will never be able to purchase it, ever.
So with the vaping stuff that's come out,
Yeah.
will that eventually go the same way?
See, there's not been much spoken about in vaping in that aspect. Now, I can only assume so, because in my opinion, it's pointless banning cigarettes if you want a smoke-free generation, but allow vaping to continue at the same age range. So, for instance, it might, in a few years, they might look at vaping and go, actually, we want to do the same thing with them. You know, I think the reason vaping hasn't been, I'll use the term hit on just yet, is due to the fact that it is an alternative to smoking, and people who already need nicotine or nicotine replacements will more than likely swap to vaping if the age of cigarettes does go up. You know, so anybody now will probably be like, oh, if they're putting the price up on cigarettes, I'll swap to vaping. And then that's where the excess tax will come from, and so on and so forth, because instead of the tax on cigarettes, the tax will then move on to vapes, and then eventually it'll probably go. So, I mean, that's just to my belief. I can't tell you exactly, you know, obviously I don't know what the MPs are thinking, what's going through their heads, but in my opinion, there will eventually be a smoke-free generation, but as Wes mentioned earlier, you can get your hands on anything. I mean, already coming through customs, they are searching for illegal vapes. They are searching for your 7,000, 8,000, 20,000 puff ones, because they understand there's been studies done. You know, you can find clips of it. Some of them contain lead, some of them contain nickel, arsenic. All of these harmful chemicals are in the big illegal vapes, and that is where the kids are getting their hands on them. Most kids don't want, say for instance, a device where you have to pull it out and change it. What they want is a big disposable. You know, we can't sell them. Actual vape workers and full-blown vape shops, we are not legally allowed to sell them. So all these young ones getting their hands on them have to be going somewhere to purchase them, because it won't be purchased from ourselves.
Yeah.
So something I just want to put out there quickly, just while we're still on this risk factor.
Yeah.
And while we've just touched on the risk factor, I'd like to just put this into play. Okay. Average alcohol-related deaths within a year in the United Kingdom is 136,000 potential.
Yep.
Death related to tobacco is 124,000.
Yep.
Okay. So, as an average, we're talking that alcohol contributes to roughly 14,000 more deaths than tobacco in the UK alone. Never mind in America and all the other places that are out there.
Yep.
I don't understand the point of, right, it's okay for us to drink and promote drinking, but it's not okay for us to promote smoking and cigarettes. But the one thing that I want to make very clear here is we're talking about 14,000 lives. We're not talking about, potential 14,000. We're talking confirmed 14,000. That's a fact. And that's due to drink-related incidents and smoking-related incidents. So, before you say what you say, I just want to make that clear.
my opinion or thoughts on this. So yeah, I think drinking is responsible for a lot more deaths than most things that are out there. Like a lot of drugs, for example, people always say, well, drinking is still legal and that causes way more issues, and it does. However, I think there's a way to responsibly drink. Not everyone does it, but you can drink responsibly. You can't really smoke responsibly because it's doing long-term damage to your lungs from that first puff.
Got ya.
Whereas drinking, having 1 or 2 beers every week or whatever, yes, it can still cause an issue if you're extremely unlucky, but drinking responsibly is something that people can practice. You can't smoke responsibly. It's irresponsible to smoke. And I say that puffing on a vape, which is probably very bad for me. I'm aware of it.
Well,
but
I'll let you into a little something. The government is already cracking down on drinking. They've made most pints. No, they've made most pints weaker in pubs, and the prices are going up to stop.
Don't take my beer away.
To stop the amount of people doing it. So now spirits in supermarkets are taxed at a higher bracket than what alcohol is in pubs from draft. So Foster's went from 4.6% down to 3%. Yeah, I know it's a gross beer, but it's just an example, right? But Foster's went down in volume and up in price. And that's to lower the amount of alcohol content within the beer to stop with people getting too drunk. So it's no different in the way, so they're regulating alcohol. Spirits have gone up in price, but beer has, gone up and got weaker. Spirits will stay the same strength, but the tax on them is going through the roof. So you get a double vodka in a pub, it's like £8. You buy a bottle of vodka, it's gone from £20, for instance, up to £25. And that's because the strength of the alcohol content now it equates to how much tax is in it. So it's no different to smoking in that same aspect of they're both being taxed heavily to stop these things from happening, but people regardless have their own free will and will purchase or consume something, even if it's bad for you. Drug addicts know that cocaine's bad, but they'll still take cocaine. Do you know what I mean? It's just what it is. It still happens.
I'm about to say something which is groundbreaking here.
Okay.
Just real quick, is this why my Budweisers in Tesco have gone from 12 quid to 16 quid? Because I just blame that on inflation.
No, it's not. Well, it is. Inflation's a factor as well, but it's also, you'll notice the alcohol content's lower.
The one thing that I want to point out, and it was perfect during what Ellie was just saying, because remember that it's a fact. What is alcohol?
Wheat.
No.
A drug.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is a drug. What is smoking?
Well, nicotine is a drug, yeah.
Correct. So what do drugs do to human beings?
They fuck you up.
No, they get you addicted. Why? Because you have addictive personalities. That's how both of them get you. So when you're saying, people die from drink, but you can just have a pint or two, that's not true. Because some people can't just have a pint or two. Some people have to have 7 pints to be, right, that's my pint or two. The same way as if some people can be social smokers. People can go out and smoke 3 cigarettes on a night out with their mates and then not need one throughout the whole work week. But then on the Saturday again, would still have another 3 cigarettes. Because it doesn't matter necessarily what your what you think, as in what we do as each individuals, as an overall scale, people are just as addicted to alcohol as they are cigarettes. Hence the reason you have the issues that you have. Why do things like drink driving happen? Because people are influenced by the alcohol that's in front of them, and they still go, well, I still feel all right. What's that? That's alcohol. What do we call an alcoholic? It's an overdose of alcohol. That's exactly what it is. It's taking it to the next level. If someone's smoking and spending all that money and smoking 20 fags a day, you'd be sat there going, oh my God, they're addicted to smoking. It's the same thing, but 2 different items.
I think my point wasn't that drinking isn't bad, or it's people don't get addicted, or people don't always drink responsibly and overdrink. Of course they do. But I think with drinking, there is a way to do it responsibly. Not everyone gets addicted. Just like not everyone does with smoking. But let's be honest, if someone's a smoker, they're a smoker. Yes, you have social smokers, but you wouldn't technically class them as a smoker. Whereas a drinker could be someone who's gone on a night out once in the last 3 months. They say, do you drink? Yes. But it doesn't mean they do it all the time. But if you ask someone, do you smoke? And they say yes, more often than not, that means they smoke on a regular basis. And I think that's the difference.
Well,
yes, alcohol's bad. It's a drug. It's addictive. But I think it's, for me and the people I've known, I might be very wrong here, and other people might think differently. People I know that have smoked are more likely to get addicted to smoking. Almost everyone I've met in my life has had a drink at some point, or drinks socially, or drinks on occasions or whatever, but they're not alcoholics, they're not addicted. I think it's more likely and more often that people will get addicted to the nicotine in smoking than they will the alcohol in a beer.
The reason that is, it's dead easy. It's dead easy to explain that bit. And it's because smoking is easily accessible and it doesn't stop you from doing things.
It's acceptable to do in most places, or you just step outside.
Correct. Whereas the difference is, if you was to start drinking, it also intoxicates you, which smoking doesn't do the exact same thing. It gives you a feeling, but it doesn't do the same thing as what drinking does. If I was to sit with you and I give you 100 cigarettes and I said, right, you can have 10 a day for the week, right? And you did that for a whole week, you'd be addicted by the end of the week. If I gave you 100 pints of beer and said you had to drink them in a week, you'd be an alcoholic by the end of the week. Why? Because it's the same dosage, just in a different circumstance. People can be social drinkers and have 1 pint at a weekend every now and then, or you could go out clubbing on a Saturday every week if you wanted to, but you're only drinking on that one day. The rest of the week, you've flushed your body out of alcohol. If you're constantly topping yourself up, like you do with a cigarette, puffing another puff, having another cigarette, keep energizing that high, that's how you get addicted. And with people with alcohol, don't do that. Unless you are an alcoholic and you get to that stage. You know, if you're pulling it in your body constantly, that's how the addiction happens.
The reason I'll disagree with this, right? So anyone who's a fan of this podcast and has been here multiple times before is probably wondering, why doesn't Ellie have a beer today? I'm starting new tablets, so I can't. But normally when we're recording the podcast, I have a beer. When I'm gaming, I have a beer. Sometimes I have 2. I would say most nights, not all. However, not having a beer today has not bothered me. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't rely on it. My understanding of being an alcoholic is when you become dependent on it. I have a beer because I enjoy it, not because I need it. When I'm told I can't have one night, or when I'm not at my PC, I'm not gaming, I'm not doing anything, I'm not sitting on my bed going, oh, I really need a beer. I normally have one at this time of night. I just don't think about it.
Can I hit you with some science real quick? Is that okay?
Sure.
So nicotine dependency itself, one of the main reasons it happens is when people are low in dopamine, which in today's society is quite a common thing. Hence why you get people who are addicted to their phones, you get people addicted to gaming. No names, just saying. And nicotine is another one of those things that inhibits dopamine. So nicotine itself as a substance, although it is considered harmful, is the least harmful chemical you can probably consume. Just on the basis of it activates dopamine, it creates endorphins, it gives people that so-called euphoric feeling. Now, there's obviously lots of other things that can do that, and you know, it's fully understandable these things occur. But I mean, scientifically, nicotine itself isn't harmful. Yes, it can raise blood pressure a little bit. It can. That's understandable. But compared to other things like alcohol, where it drops your blood pressure, like it only takes 0.50 units to put someone in a coma and black out with alcohol. Now, don't get me wrong, I could go and smoke 100 cigarettes. Would I feel like crap? Yes. Could it potentially lead me to kill somebody else? No. And that's why I believe that alcohol will forever be worse than cigarettes. And I'm glad that things are being done for both. Because, I mean, drink drivers, as Wes said earlier, they get behind a wheel going, yeah, I can drive. Like, oh, I've only had 8 whiskies, chuck me my car keys.
Dickheads,
more than likely, they're going to hit someone. That's just statistics. They will hit somebody. Even with any form of intoxication, whether it's cannabis, whether it's cocaine, whether it's amphetamines, mushroom, any form of something that inhibits your ability to do something will cause deaths. Now, cigarette smokers, let's be honest, with all them horrible photos on the packet, they know what's going to happen. They know. I mean, even on vape packets, it will tell you this product is harmful. We understand that it's not all sunshines and rainbows. Do you know what I mean? It says harmful to aquatic life on every packet, whether it be a vape juice bottle, whether it be a disposable bottle, disposable vape, should I say. It will always say it's harmful. Whereas tobacco doesn't really say it's harmful on the bottle. Although we know it is. There's no warning signs. It's not like when you go and buy a packet of cigarettes. Yeah, that's what I mean.
But when you buy a pack of tobacco, like in the little pouch things, don't they normally have a picture of someone's like
teeth?
Someone's teeth or the lungs, yeah. Whereas if I went and bought a bottle of vodka, it wouldn't have a picture of Stephen wrapped around a tree. Do you know what I mean? Like that isn't
got a point.
That isn't put on that isn't put on alcohol. But yeah, alcohol might have 14,000. Was it less or more? Sorry. More. So it might have 14,000 more deaths, but those deaths can be stopped. Smoking, like I said, we know it hurts us. It says on every packet of cigarettes, this product is harmful. It can lower your sperm count. It can damage unborn fetuses. A bottle of vodka will just be like, drink responsibly on the back. Like, what are you on about? Drink fucking responsibly. If I buy a bottle of vodka, I'm not drinking 2 glasses and going, oh, that was a very delectable. No. I'm crawling home. If I buy a pack of cigs, I ain't smoked in years, but if I buy a packet of cigs, I know I'm probably going to smash 10, 15 on a night out. But
okay, do you think the reason they focus more on nicotine products rather than alcohol could be because... So put it this way, right? They tax all these products.
Yep.
But there's bars, there's clubs, there's pubs, all these places that earn money.
Mm-hmm.
They tourists visit the country and they go to pubs or whatever. People go there on a Friday, a Saturday, after work, big money makers. Whereas you don't really go to a dedicated place to smoke. Could it be, I'm not saying it's right, but from the government's point of view and the country's point of view, alcohol brings in a lot of money.
It does.
Because of the places that operate by selling it.
I mean, you look at the British stereotype. There's a few things that we have in Britain that are stereotypes. All our teeth are crooked, right? And pubs. You ask any British person, it's tea, pubs, and crooked teeth. That's it. That's the stereotype. And to be fair, there's more pubs in the UK than there are churches. If you pull up a map of how... Honestly, go and just have a search. Search a map of pubs. You. The entire thing is red. There is,
and then it just goes out of, it's like top of Scotland and there's just like nothing.
Yeah, it's all pubs. And the thing is, alcohol is something the Brits are known for. Do you know what I mean? Like, you ask anybody, whether they be anyone in Great Britain, so even, Scots are known for drinking whiskey. The Irish are known for drinking Guinness and whiskey. Brits are known for drinking just anything that comes close to them, regardless of the alcohol content. Beer and gin, yeah. You go down south and they're all drinking posh fucking cosmopolitans and, gins, you know what I mean? Yeah, and gins and all that fancy stuff. Whereas you don't get it like in the UK of, oh yeah, them bloody northerners smoking Camels, us down here only smoke Sterling Doors. Do you know what I mean? You don't get that. It's because money is in alcohol. Could you imagine if the UK just suddenly turned around and says, yep, no one can drink anymore? Riots. I'm talking they'd Guy Fawkes the asses of Parliament because he'd be like, I want my Stella.
If they took away craft beer pubs, right, mine and my partner's relationship would just break down because our entire relationship, date night, let's go get some IPAs, let's go drink some fancy shit. What would we do if they got rid of alcohol? We'd play some card games, but we'd get bored of that after about 2 weeks.
I mean, IPA's all right.
Shit with IPAs. What are you on about?
Wes only drinks that AU and that Belgium Stella, that unfiltered Stella Artois.
She don't understand what that is. She don't even understand what
Stella.
it is.
I don't need to understand any more other than it's Stella.
It's so nice. It's underrated.
Wes, I'm sorry, but if you're going to drink that, you may as well go down your fucking off license and just buy a 6-pack of that gross shit.
Oh, no.
No, what's
Like,
it
come
called?
on.
Dragon Soup and White Lightning.
Yeah.
Get on Kestrel, super strong. Yes.
Kestrel, yeah.
Get on Kestrel, 12% per can. But no, alcohol in the UK is a big part of the UK's culture. Like, let's be real. It's without it, the people would look and be like, the UK's got nothing now. The only thing, like I said,
Got nothing
crooked teeth, tea, beer, football,
Crumpets,
being
bacon
hooligans,
sardies.
crumpets. You know, apparently calling everything wrong, arguing about what a cob is. You know, whether it's a balm cake, a bap, a bread roll, all that
cob.
jazz. It is a cob. It's a cob, straight up.
It depends
But-
what's in it.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No, it does.
It's a
What do
chip
you call
cob.
it?
Right, so you can have a bacon butty
No.
or a bacon cob,
Yeah.
right? But you can't have like a cheese butty. That's a cheese cob or a cheese roll.
It's still
Now a chip butty is just a chip butty, not a chip roll,
Chip
not a chip
cob.
cob.
Chip
chip
cob.
cob.
No.
Chip cob.
It's the same
That's
piece.
wrong.
It's the same piece of bread. It's the same shape. It's
Yes,
like
but it's a different meal
No, it's
depending
not.
what ingredients there are.
no, it's not. Right. So if you got a pita bread, right, like a kebab, okay. If you got a
Right.
pita, but instead of putting kebab in it, you put cheese in it, right? Is that still a cheese pita, or are you one of them weirdos that goes, it's a cheese flatbread? Actually, no, it's a pita with cheese.
Yeah.
Exactly. So why is a chip cob not considered a chip cob? Because
Because it's a chip butty.
it's a butter. What? What? Because it's got butter in it.
No, it's just a butter. It doesn't matter if it's got butter or not. It's a butty.
It's our
right.
butter.
It's a butter.
However-
It's our butter.
Right, now I'm done with getting roasted. Can we move back to vaping? Because I actually have another
that's
question.
Fine, that's fine. Ask away.
And we went off about alcohol and fucking bread and all this shit.
Well, the
Right.
alcohol one was related to it, so that's kind of different.
Yeah. The bread one just came out of nowhere.
Butter.
My mom keeps going on at me, right? She vapes as well. So she used to smoke 20 plus a day. She started vaping. She
Vape
now
Nation.
smokes probably one a day. I think she has one at night.
Vapors.
Sometimes not even that. But so she's also a vapor, so it's quite hypocritical.
Okay.
I don't know where she gets her information. It could be the news or it could be Facebook.
Facebook,
honestly,
Mum.
Definitely
But-
Facebook.
she keeps saying to me that apparently it's coming out now. There's more research going in, and it's coming out now that they're saying vaping may actually be worse than smoking.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not a scientist. You know, you work in a vape shop,
Well, I am-
so you don't have all the answers.
I am NSCCT trained though, so the National Cessation
know
of
what that
Stop
means.
Smoking. For my particular place of work, we had to do an exam, and we got a certificate to prove that we're at that level. So I know quite a lot about the socioeconomics of smoking. So who's more statistically likely
big
to
word.
smoke through the class system, gender roles, general age. But fire away. I think I know where you're coming from with this.
So I want to ask in your opinion, because obviously you know more about it.
Excuse me, Ali.
We do.
You call him by his real name? It's Dr. Bill.
Actually, actually, it's Lord Bill. Don't make me pull out the
Lord
Don't make me
Bill.
pull out the lordship, bro.
He's Lord Billy from Vapeland.
Should you just call him Billet?
Billy. Lord Billy.
Right. So my question is, it's kind of split into two parts.
Okay.
In your opinion, do you think at the moment there's enough information to go off to say that one is worse than the other? Mm-hmm. Let's start with that. We'll get on to part two after.
Okay, so straight away, in my opinion, I'll tell you now, it's better to inhale nothing but oxygen into your lungs. Straight up. Inhaling anything that's carcinogenic is going to cause damage. Now, we already know that in cigarettes there's about 500 harmful chemicals. Everything from rat poison, arsenic, cyanide, all of these have already been found in cigarettes. Whereas in vaping, there is 5 ingredients more than anything. So there's vegetable glycerin, which is used in medication, used in decorating cakes to give it that glossy finish. So that's what's one of the main bases of Calpol is. There's propylene glycol, which is a secondary base, which is also what is used for medications. So things like liquid morphine, because it's thinner, it gets into the system faster. There's nicotine, which is extracted from the tobacco plant, and all the harmful chemicals are purified. Then you've also, you've got stuff like flavorings, which, yeah, again, there was some issues with certain flavorings, but they've been taken off due to TPD, which is the regulations I was talking about. And then there's sweeteners, which are natural sweeteners. A lot of them tend to be stevia or, things that we consume in diet products anyway. So Diet Coke has it, and all these other low-fat, low-calorie options already contain this, these products and this thing. So they're the main ingredients in most vape juices that are legally obtained.
So we're saying Diet Coke's not good for you?
Well, no, I'm not saying that, But I mean, if you want to go,
more people than alcohol.
Wes just wants a fight tonight, doesn't he?
No. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, yeah, again, it's there's so many scare tactics, and that's how I look at it all. Everything's a scare tactic. I know people that have literally. There's an old woman that has lived off nothing but Dr. Pepper her entire life. She doesn't drink water, and she's 98 years old and has outlived all the doctors that have said, you're going to die if you keep drinking it. She told them to fuck, and she's outlived the doctor that told her she'd die young.
Sounds like my mum. Anybody who knows my mum.
Just bear Dr. Pepper.
She does not drink water. She does not drink anything. She'll drink alcohol and wine and stuff like that. But if it's necessity day to day, she has a massive crate of Dr. Pepper Zero, either in her car or she has 4 at home, 2 spare in the garage just in case she runs out. You'll never see my mum without Dr. Pepper. Fact.
She's got a fridge. The first time I went round to Wes's mum's house, she was like, do you want a drink? And she opened the fridge and it was just all Dr. Pepper on the bottom halves of the shelves. And I was like, I'll just have some water, thanks. She's like, you sure? I got Dr. Pepper. I'm like, you have?
I'm surprised she's not got a Dr. Pepper tap.
Honestly, mate,
don't give her up. Don't give her the thought, because she'll get it installed. She'll have a soda stream. She'll have a soda stream built underneath tap, so she can get Dr. Pepper on tap.
It's terrible, mate. It's not even good. It's really bad. She gets shakes if she doesn't have it in the morning.
That's addiction. That is caffeine addiction. And coming from an ex-caffeine addict who used to drink 4 to 6 cans of Monster a day, basically. Like I used to drink so much. Like, you can ask Wes. I once did his garden, and I drank 4 cans of Rockstar in the space of 2 hours.
That's great.
They were 550 milligrams of caffeine each. Like, I'd down one, do some work for half an hour, then I'd down another. Like, I wonder why my heart is so janked.
I was going to say, this is why you got a dodgy ticker.
Yeah, well, that and genetics.
Explains it all,
but the caffeine doesn't help. But no, back to vaping anyway. In terms of the ingredients, they're all used in mainstream products that are already there. How many times have you thought to yourself, I know what I'm going to do. Let's go and inhale rat poison, which is what smoking technically is.
You're in just on every Tuesday, mate.
That's it. You just think, oh, you know what? How about I just go towards a car exhaust before it starts and just go... and just inhale it. You're not going to. You're not.
Wait, you don't do that?
No.
I do that.
How do you start your mornings?
But no, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, in my opinion, inhaling nothing is better than smoking or vaping. But if you gave me the option, I'd vape. Because, I've had x-rays and CTs and there's nothing on my lungs yet. Now, I am only one case, but in my lifetime of vaping, I've calculated I've vaped over 4 gallons of vape juice. So that's a lot.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. I did have the big. I've got a few massive ones here, but I've got vapes that were 4 batteries, ridiculous monsters, and I used to use those every single day. And like I said, 4 gallons, and my lungs are pretty clear. Don't get me wrong. They probably got some damage, but it definitely ain't like somebody who'd smoked the equivalent in cigarettes.
It's a very valid point.
My part 2 for that question was, if it is found that it is worse or it's just as bad. Obviously, we spoke earlier about maybe vaping will go the same way as smoking.
Yeah.
A, how would that impact obviously you and your job? And B, this is a bit of a controversial question.
Okay, I like controversy. Bring it on.
Don't want you to take it the wrong way.
No, I won't.
If it comes out, say 2 weeks' time, they're like, right, vaping is worse than smoking. We've had some groundbreaking evidence. It's really bad. Don't do it. We're shutting down vape shops. Anyone who's vaped is probably going to die in the next 20 years. They're not going to do that. But just say they do, right? would you think, shit, I've been selling this stuff to people and telling them it's better than smoking. Would you have any sort of like, not guilt, but a bit of a
I see where you're coming from.
Or...
I see where you're coming from. But for me personally, yeah, again, another controversial take. No, because I'm going by what's been said at the time. Now, years ago, the kids with asthma used to be given cigarettes. They were called asthma sticks. So anyone who needed probably an inhaler was told, here, this will open your airways. And they were given cigarettes, right? So I've been told by the science at the time, vaping is healthier. Now, those doctors weren't persecuted for giving those children cigarettes to open their airways, or they weren't, they were doing the job at the time. Now, if I got told you're going to die in the next 20 years, what am I going to do to stop it? I'm sorry. Like, there's not much I can do at this point. But just from, say, for instance, experience, I've had people come to me and, they had emphysema, for instance, and they've been told, you need surgery. And their doctors have gone, you need to quit smoking. They've come to my place of work. They've purchased vapes from myself, and now their lungs have slowly repaired themselves. Because smoking, one of the main reasons people get ill from smoking, is the little hairs, so the bronchioles, or the small hairs within your throat and your lungs, get burnt away. So those little bronchioles, those little tree-looking things, eventually once they burn away, it leads the cause for things, cells going bad, infections starting, all that kind of thing, because of the heat of the cigarette itself is damaging. That's one of the most impactful things. So tobacco, not necessarily harmful unless it's combusted. Now in vaping, nothing is combusted, nothing is burnt. And that's why at the minute...
I don't know, my coil tastes pretty burnt at the minute.
Well, that's because you're smoking a burnt coil. But when I mean burnt, it's, it's not like a cigarette. You have to light it. You have to use fire. And that's where the carcinogens come from.
It's not like a lit spark.
Yeah,
or flame,
it's not a flame. So tobacco itself, if I went over to it, even if I ate tobacco, right, I just thought, look, a handful of amber leaf, let me hump. That wouldn't necessarily harm me. Would it be gross? Well, yes. Would I feel sick? 100%. But is it going to be fatal? No. But to answer the question, I would have some level of guilt, because... But at the same time, if you're informed of something that actually turns out to be the opposite, it was out of your control for that period. Now, if they turn around to me and says vaping's harmful, we're shutting all the vape shops, like you said, and I continued to sing and preach and tell people how they're daft, that they're not doing it, and, that kind of thing, then I would be causing more harm onto people. But for now, I know the only vapes that damage people are the black market vapes. You hear stories about how, these teenagers in the UK have been put in hospital because they've vaped and it's gave them popcorn lung and blah, blah, blah. Right? The reason that happened was vitamin E acetate, which was found in illegal black market THC cartridges. Vitamin E acetate, when inhaled, will cause popcorn lung. That's why in factories where it's used, they wear respirators and have filtered masks.
We're looking at you, Wes.
And
with your dodgy vapes.
and this is the thing, it's yet again, it's free will. Now, I never forced anyone to come into my shop and buy a vape. I don't stand outside with a sign spinning it, going, look at me, come and buy vapes, I can do sick tricks with a piece of cardboard shaped like an arrow. They open the door, they come in, and they have their own choice. Like I said, it's all about free will. The same with every drug and everything like that. Free will is the biggest thing that impacts human life. I've got the will to go and jump off a bridge. Am I going to do it? Probably not. But
was that only a probably?
Yeah,
or?
well, probably not.
Do we need to talk after this, Bill? Are you okay?
No, but what I'm saying is the free will is there. People will do things, even if they believe it's going to impact their health. They'll do it. Same as people that get them body modifications and go, I'm going to split my tongue in half. There's a risk of bleeding out, but they still go and do it because they want to. And if people want to vape, they can. If they want to smoke, they can. I'm not going to judge them regardless of whichever they do. I have some people come in and go, oh, this isn't for me, it's for me missus. I like a cig. And it's like they expect me to go, "Oh, you dirty smoker, I dare you like a cigarette." I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell them, you know what I mean? I'm going to go, "All right, enjoy your cigarette, because I can't physically come to your ass and chin you because you're not using an Aspire Flexus kit." Do you know what I mean?
Technically, Bill, free will, you can.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't. It's just something I wouldn't do, but...
Well, to round off the conversation that we're having and try and bring it to its natural end, you know, something which kind of sticks out for me is that it all leads down to one thing. And I think that's addiction in general. I don't think it's necessarily the tobacco itself or the vaping or the nicotine or the alcohol or whatever it is. I think it's that thought of addiction that can kill anybody. You know, I think it's the same with gambling, it's the same with drinking, it's the same with smoking. There's one key factor in every single one of them, and it's the addiction that goes with it. I'm a big believer in addictive personalities are traits, and they move on from person to person. And I think it's something that, unfortunately, you're born with, a bit like, you know, already implanted in your brain. And I don't think you can run away from that. Just like if your parents were addicted to something before you, you know, whether that was alcohol, drugs, whatever it could be, and they had an addictive personality, that trait can then be passed on to you. I don't know how you two feel about that.
Does this mean I can blame my mum's past addiction for smoking on my current addiction for Monopoly Go? Has she given me this addiction?
No, she's just giving you the addictive trait.
Bearing in mind with my medical conditions, all the medications that I've been on, and they warn you about some of them, about how addictive they can be, and if you notice any of this, you know, you need to come to us and whatever. I don't think I've ever had an addiction to something. Vaping, for example, could I call it an addiction? Possibly. I do it a lot, right? I'm more inclined to say it's habit. It's still addiction, but there's times where I go out and I forget my vape. I leave it at home. And I'm not like, oh, no, I've not got a vape. I need to go and buy a disposable. I'm just like, oh, well, I'll get it when I get home. I have it because it's there. Is it still addiction? Yes.
See,
but I've never been addicted to smoking, drinking, shopping, gambling. Only thing I can honestly say is 100% an addiction is Monopoly Go. P.S. Guys,
gambling.
if you have any 5-star stickers, drop them in the comments. Let me trade.
Technically, it's gambling.
Yeah, but I'm not spending money, so it's not. I'm not at any risk.
This is where she spent £5,000 on it already, and she's just not told anyone. So anybody who sees Ellie on Monopoly Go, she's absolutely caned her overdraft. So please like, subscribe, and donate to Ellie's Monopoly Go fund.
£5 on Monopoly Go, but it was money that I won from Google. Well, not won. Google Play. You know, I do like Play points and that, and you get so many. Like, you get free ones once a week. I saved up a £5 and I thought,
go man,
need some dice rolls.
I spent £5 on it to get 10. Yeah.
No. Okay, so I haven't spent any money from my actual bank account on Monopoly Go yet.
Oh,
if I don't get these 5-star stickers, I will. So guys, if you want to I need all my gems.
Wait, is that the only reason?
If you have it, put it in the comments.
Is that the only reason you added me on Facebook? Because you saw I played Monopoly Go? Is that it?
Yes.
Wow. Saying that, I am aiding and abetting your addiction, because I have like already signed you up to do that like partner thing that they've got going on.
Yeah, me and Bill are doing the partner event together.
But no, as a round off in general, I will full blown admit I am addicted to nicotine. Unlike Ellie, I can't go, oh yeah, I've left my vape at home. No, I can't do that. But I mean, I'm more addicted than the average person based on my job, because I can sit there all day, no quarrels, and just go.
Me too.
And no one can cut, there's no real, like if they turn around to me, my employers, and said, you can no longer vape in the shop, I'd be like, okay, cool. I'd be like, fine.
Just take 50 smoke breaks a day.
Well, no, but, say if, for instance, I'm out or I'm drinking, or I'm doing things like that. If I'm out somewhere where I can't physically do it, I can go without. It's fine. Don't be, I am grumpy. I'm a grumpy man. But, my brain craves dopamine so often it's absurd. Like, I am purely dopamine deficient. So this thing keeps me going. But, to round it off, as you said, addictive personalities or addiction in general is the biggest cause for these things, because like we're saying, you can be addicted to something and it can completely influence your entire life. As you said, gambling, people blow entire wages in a Betfred to try and win more, and then they shit out of luck for the rest of the week. Smoking, people will go and buy cigarettes rather than paying for their electric or the gas, or same with alcohol. It's the same thing. And I think, yet again, it all boils down to one thing that every person's got, which is free will. We all have the ability to do these things. If I wanted to, I could probably walk down the street and buy, fucking 50 ounces of mushrooms and take them all in one go. Not that I would, but the possibility's there.
Guys, we are not condoning this.
No, obviously, no. This is why I said not that I would. But in general, if I wanted to, I could go and do something like that, because it boils down to, yet again, me as a person having the free will to do that. I could, nick a car or drink drive or, anything like that, because if I want to, I'll do it. Plain and simple. Do you know what I mean? It's what it is. There will always be someone who will do something that you look at and think, I wouldn't do that. Whereas they will. To them, that's normality.
So the first question we obviously asked is, do we think that these changes are actually going to impact us as a whole? Just to get your final thoughts on it.
I mean, when you say impact us as a whole, I mean, the UK
will have a good benefit, bad benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that the benefit in the long run will be positive. Now, for the short haul, it's going to be very difficult to predict what happens, because for all we know, the government could do a massive U-turn because they realised it could increase the risks and aspect of people bringing, illegal products through and across, in that kind of way. But in the long run, I do like the idea of someone like myself who has children, knowing that they will never be able to purchase products. Now, might seem a bit, bit skew if I don't want my children to smoke and I don't want them to vape. And I will never purchase these products for them. And because of that, knowing that they can't purchase it themselves at any point does give me that peace of mind to know that their health will be prioritized, because they can't purchase them.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously quite a big impact, especially if you do have children, to know that obviously their futures are going to be
healthier.
Throughout the just. I think I kind of stick by to some of the things that I said at the beginning, but just to obviously give my opinion on it, that I think there's only so much you can ban before it starts to get unrealistic and, a bit silly and out of hand, because it will start with vaping, then they'll move to alcohol, then they'll move to sugar, then it will be fats, and then it will be, right, all you can drink is water, you can't have anything else with any artificial flavourings or anything like that, or even real flavourings, because they're not good for you, because they're giving you certain sugars. And I think that's just how rapid it can escalate.
Oh, 100%.
And go completely skew with. I don't know how you feel, Ellie.
My only thoughts on that are, if things are going to go that way, I hope it's long after I'm gone, because that is not a world I want to live in. That sounds really boring.
No.
But I do agree. I know what, like you said earlier with the XL bullies thing, and how we said banning one thing is just going to lead to people doing the same stuff but with other things.
Yeah.
And then that gets banned. It's just I think that probably won't happen as much with this, but I think, especially with younger people, if they smoke to look cool or whatever, or because their mates are doing it, it's easy to get their hands on it at the moment. If that changes, my main concern, like, yes, it's a good thing to not let that continue, because obviously it's bad for them and they shouldn't be doing it. But my main concern with that is, what are they going to move to next? Is it going to be something worse? That's my only kind of concern with it. If it works, great. And I think it's a good move by the government to do that and to stop younger people being able to get their hands on it so easily and wanting to do it. I just really hope it doesn't backfire and they end up doing something different to kind of replace it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I couldn't agree more. But Bill, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. We appreciate you giving us your time and coming in and giving us your thoughts on everything to do with the vape stuff.
No.
And anyone here, if you have any questions for Bill,
Hit me up.
I'm sure you probably
I'm in the
look at the
Discord.
comments quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm in the Discord as well, so join that, or else I'm not giving you any advice.
Straight facts.
But no, obviously, anything like that, any form of information, in reference to vaping or, any questions in general, whether it's just about the ingredients or the products or laws, regulations, I'm practically like a 24/7 vape guy anyway. I get texts at 2:00 in the morning from people going, "This has happened, what do I do?" And 90% of the time I just go, "It's knackered," because most of the time
usually me going, "What coil do I buy?"
But no,
do I want 0.6 or 1?
Like I said, when it comes to stuff, like questions about vaping, I'm always happy enough to help. I'm happy enough to give people information, because I think keeping people informed is the most beneficial way of learning, and especially if you're learning from somebody who does it every day as a job. I'm more than happy to help. Grateful you got me on rather than just reading off an article. It just feels a little bit more natural, because obviously you two trust my experience. You are both people who've obviously known me for a while and come to my place of work. But no, I'm happy to help anytime. I'm no good at maths or anything else, but I can help you with vapes. That's one thing I do know.
And we appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much for coming on.
That's
Appreciate
all right.
it, mate.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you later, mate.
Bye.
So, everyone, thank you for joining us on this very different episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've had an absolutely fantastic time. We obviously want to say a massive thank you to Bill for coming on. It's his time that he's put into this. He's come in to help us and be a part of the show. And obviously try and bring a new dynamic to you guys as well. So a massive thank you for Bill. You can obviously talk to him at any time in the Discord, as he said to you. Ellie?
Yeah, so if you're not already in our Discord, the link to it is in the description below, along with our Instagram, our Twitter, our TikTok, and our Kick. Make sure you're following us over there. That's where we do a lot more of the interactive stuff, a lot more of the, am I the asshole, more gamey things, get your guys' opinions in real time. That's where you can chat to us about what's going on. Make sure you're there. Make sure you dropped us a follow.
You try not to laugh now.
What are you doing?
Could have done that
one. Wes is just having a moment, guys.
Other than that, thank you very much. Remember to like, subscribe. In a visual peeps.